Now let's look at how do you hedge accounts receivables in a foreign currency. By the way, in this example, the author using Swiss franc. He using the abbreviation SF, but more common Swiss franc, the symbol or the abbreviation is CHF. So I'm just changing to CHF. Okay. Now here's the example. Vincer Corporation is a US-based multinational firm that will receive 200,000 Swiss franc in 6 months. So they anticipate their customer will pay them 200,000 Swiss franc. But as an American firm, let's assuming they want this one in US dollars. In other words, they are going to receive a foreign currency, they will sell it to get US dollars. Now, the following 4 questions are the common one. Usually I always do it. The first one asks you what is exposure, what they are afraid of. Are they afraid the price going up, Swiss franc going up? Are they afraid the price going down? Now this is implied certain things. What is your worry about? For example, now today the weather is very nice. In summer, in Bay Area, do you really need to worry about there are sudden rain drop? Do you need to bring umbrella with you or something? But if you think there is no raining, any chance to rain, why you bring umbrella? No hedge. So no hedge is always an alternative, an option. Okay. So now in this case, we're going to do the step one a time. But remember, at the very beginning of this course, I've said that when you're dealing with foreign currency, most currency are quoted indirectly. For example, Swiss franc, the rate for 6 months in this implied is 1.4085 Swiss franc per dollar. This is indirect quote, commonly quoted. But you have to really inverse it. Divided by that number, you get the equivalent of 71 cents dollar per Swiss franc. You have to use the direct quote. Otherwise, you are asking for trouble because all the analysis is the upside down. Okay, long become short, short become long, call become put looking at like a call because the direction is wrong. So always do it direct quote in dollar. Even sometimes like Japanese yen, it's so tiny number, it's inconvenient, but you have to do it. Okay. These next slides. Okay. Hedging exposure to accounts receivables. Forward or future hedge on receivable allow the multinational corporation to lock in the exchange rate at which it can sell a specific currency. You don't have it yet, but you know you will have it. You want to sell it in that situation. And money market hedging, on the other hand, involves the borrowing currency that will receive, usually in foreign, and using that receivable to pay off that loan. So let's do this one by one. The first one is the short position. I say this is one short position. You sell in advance, in other words. Let's assume the forward price is $0.71 per Swiss franc. So you basically lock yourself 0.71. For 200K, divide by that number, you get 142. Oh, time that number, I'm sorry. Here is the direct quote. 200K times 0.71. You get 142K dollar per that amount, 200K Swiss franc. Now, what is that line? That line is the short position. What the short position pay off is the exercise price, X, here is 0.71, minus ST. If ST is higher than that number, you still have to sell at 0.7. That implies a loss. If the ST is below that number, it's to your advantage to exercise this forward at a high price, 0.71. Here's your gain. Okay, so here is the net position possible. Anything along that line. This is pretty straightforward. Remember that you sell something, you are afraid the price go down. When you buy something, you're afraid the price going up. Okay, so if you the risk exposure look like this. Okay, so this is you lock yourself in at the price 0.71, sign that contract. Now let's look at the money market situation using our roadmap again. New York City versus Zurich, Switzerland. The U.S. interest rate 2%. Oh, it's not Switzerland, sorry, not UK. Those bullet pictures, bullet charts, sometimes I will messed up. Here it should be Switzerland. Okay, it's 5%. And the exercise price, the spot price for Swiss franc is 70. That's given. Those are given conditions. Okay. You ignore the forward market, although they must have some forward market. You can compare which price is high or low. Here is the final result. This time you can borrow foreign, and it ended go this way. And first find out the present value of $200,000. 200,000 Swiss franc. The present value today is 194,175 CHF. You convert it back to US dollars at a current rate 0.70. You get a US dollar of $135,922 here. And put in the money market, United States domestic market, and 2%. You get a 138. Now this is what you will get. You basically can just get this for that 200,000. This is as we studied in detail the notation. Actually, those are implied the fair market forward price should be. Okay, you don't need to have a forward market. You're looking at this. If the forward market deviates for that, you go with that. You go to the money market. Okay. Another added advantage I already pointed out. If their forward market is not available, this is the only way you can do. Yeah, using domestic and a foreign money market. Now using options. Here using put. Since you are afraid the price go down, you sell something, you're afraid the price go down. Then using put. We only take a long position. Okay, the put option hedge on receivable provide the right to sell a specified amount of particular currency at specified strike price by a specified expiration date. Okay, the advantage is pretty, is so obvious. Provide a hedge and flexibility also. The disadvantage, you have to pay premium upfront. The put option are typical. We call it the insurance policy. Insurance policy exactly. I can draw an insurance policy just using the payoff metric like this. Okay. The cost of put option based on currency forecasting. This is they assuming they can forecasting in some kind of a 3-state, 4-state, 5-state scenario. But usually we have a pricing model really doing that. The market is using some kind of log normal distribution, looking at a continuous distribution, give it a more precise, more easy handle the pricing formula. Okay. Here's the example. The company consider hedge its receivable, payable. Oh, here's using S. I didn't change this one. the Swiss franc, 200,000 in 6 months with put option, exercise price 0.7. The premium of the put is 2 cents, $0.02. Plot the following contingent claim diagram. What is exposure with the 6 months? What is the payoff that? Now, payoff matrix at maturity, if you ignore the premium, at the maturity date is the maximum exercise price minus the spot price. Right? In our case, it's 70 cents minus ST or 0. Otherwise, if it's negative, they go with 0. However, the net of that put option will be the payoff minus price of the put. In our case, will be maximum 0.7 minus ST or 0, then minus 0.02. Now let's look at the tangent line. This is we're using net. Without net, then should be looking at a payoff is strictly look like this. 70 exercise price. Here's the X. Right? 135 go this way. However, take the price 2 pennies. You always pay the 2 pennies. If you are out of money, you still have this still costs you 2 pennies per contract. So you have this line, that's the point, the pivot point. That's the price you exercise. As long as the spot price is below exercise price, not below exercise here. You move to this direction. Now you need another point that where to get the point coming from is the break-even point. Break-even point is the X minus S or 0, then minus P. Minus P, you get this. You have this point, and at this point, you draw through a straight line with a 135 degree go this way. Right. This is a long put, the net position for a long put. Now, we can analyze it. This one I can't analyze because this is the insurance policy. I always use similar type of graphic to explain that. The textbook assuming that there are 3 scenarios, 1 to 3 scenario. They give you different probabilities, 120%, 140%, 140%. They say that at the end of the 6 months, right? It's 6 months. It will be either spot rate is 0.71 or 0.74 or 0.76. Here's the premium, the third column premium, 2 penny, 2 penny, 2 penny. Number 4, column number 4 is the amount received per unit when owning put option. So 72, 0.72. Now this is including exercise plus exercise price 70 plus the premium. All right, you get this number. 5 is 4 minus 3. 4 minus 3. Here is the exercise, put exercise. X minus exercise price minus the premium. You get a 70. Then you have 0.2, 0.4. This is the net cost. So this is what your cost is. It depends on interest in the containing claim again. It's not the point. It's a range depend on the underlying asset variables here. Now here in the table they simplify into like 3 scenarios. In real life, we're looking at more of a log normal distribution. Now here, let's look at the red line, which represents put option, long put option. Its payoff, net payoff, is the maximum X minus ST or 0, then minus P. So you have this one. This one, when the exercise price It's below 70 will be exercised. Up to 70, then you become P here. What is the price? 2 cents. So here is the payoff. You will be ended along that red line. It's ice hockey stick. Truncated maximum loss at 2 cents per contract. Compared to a short position of forward, now you basically pay a price for do not carry the possible big loss there. Right? Now, let me introduce you to the dotted line. The dotted line is what we call asset exposure line. It's compared to the 0.70, the exercise price. So if you do not have in the contract, how much you will pay is because how much you will sell, right? You'll sell the foreign asset. So when price going up, you have more gain. Here's good risk. The problem is when price go down, you have a potential loss. Right? So this exposure showed you net exposure is look like you're afraid of downside risk. You will have upside risk. So everybody like the upside risk, good risk, hate the bad risk. You need measure is the downside risk. A put option give you now if you buy if you sell a forward contract, you basically zero-sum game. You know the line, one party's gain, the other party lost. But in option is different. In option, now let's look at the red payoff, red line put option with the dotted blue line of asset exposure. The gain from the put option exercise will be offset by an asset exposure loss size. On the other hand, the gain from the from the pure exposure, no arbitrage will be kept in most, except by paying off the 2 pennies there. So you always deduct this 2 cents. Is as a result, it ended to look like in the middle part, the net blue position. Now this one looks actually like a call, isn't it? Now remember, there's a long put position. If you compare with net asset exposure, the final analysis look like a call. That's why if you study derivative securities, you have to use graphics. All right. So this part is win, lose, offset. This part is the gain minus cost. Use upward. The higher the price, more gain you have. So this one look like as the result. This one look like call options, isn't it? Well, on the cash received, it will look like position. So this is the detailed analysis. In the CME, Chicago Mercantile Exchange trading guide, they showed you all the position. And it can be pretty interesting. You have one position, you trade another position. What's your payoff? It's look like a jigsaw puzzle, like a logo. You can move this one to achieve the other movement. Well, the final result look quite different. You always look at the net. You always look at net. The book in its appendix of that particular chapter, talking about spread, then all the complicated butterfly distribution, butterfly strategy. Why not go that? I don't want to go that far. It's too much. We just look at the very basic long call, long put. It take a while, familiar with all the terminology, familiar with the plot, then you can do further analysis on those strategies. Here is a comparison of techniques in hedging receivables, all similar to the payable, but are the opposite way. Optimal technique for hedging receivables. Consider whether future or forward are preferred. Okay, it's relatively cheap because you don't really pay a price upfront. Although in futures you need to put margins 3%. The margin is kind of only part of it. Provide a high leverage, right? The preferred. It's relatively cheap. But if you're using the futures option, you have potential huge loss, right? If the price move against you. Consider desirability of money market hedge versus future forward hedge. Do you have a good relationship with local bank or with foreign bank, etc.? So you can using the money market hedging cost compared to the forward rate or future rate available to see which one is more. The cost is low. Usually go with the cost low, right? As for currency put options, that one you also need looking at what the chances are. To looking at what reasonable chances for the price movement in what the range is. In real world, I haven't seen many people using like a scenario. Too simple. Usually using the Black-Scholes type of binomial model to do that. Right? The optimal hedge sometimes might be a no hedge. If you think the price will that particular currency will go very, very strong, then why you hedge yourself, right? You have good exposures. So the book talking about some way to really calculate that. Now here is a summary of all the three methods you hedge. Although the put option does not never tell you how that 0.02 is a good price or bad price. Right? This is the comparison of the technique. The vertical line represents probability. So here's 100%. Will get your money 142. On the other hand, money market that money only get you 138. Depending on these two, right? Depending on these two, if usually what people will go with that because as received money you want to value is high. This one forward market. If this one is true, I will go with forward market given those information, right? Because give you high information. On the other hand, this one is two certainties, right? You're choosing the forward market instead of a money market. As for option or no hedging, there are three states you have to looking at what expected value is. Now, how accurate is forecasting? Forecasting is a tricky business. It really is a tricky business. You have to, things can be suddenly changed. There are always a danger for that. So here is a good summary. Here's a very good summary on the summarize the using a matrix, the techniques, future hedging, forward hedging, money market hedging, currency option hedging. Excellent summaries. Using this one as when you do your homework, choosing what the strategy you should use. Okay, I'm not going to repeat that. The last one here actually is a copy of a training manual. I did some seminar for CPA training. That's every 2 years they need to have a training. Most of the people just want to know about derivative. The accounting procedure change pretty because you usually you are creating two accounts. One is gain, one is loss. The net result is the hedging result. Now in the risk management, sometimes let me just give you an example. They mention let me look at this. For a company has a liability to deliver 1 billion euro in 6 months, it can hedge this risk by entering into a contract to purchase 1 million euro on the same day so that it can buy and sell in the same currency on the same day. So there's a certain account to consider. They're using examples forward contract, or using loan. This is the money market. It's the money market using loan, dominated in a foreign currency. Second one using forward contract. Third one the future contract. It's quite different. With exchange rate traded, currency option, and they also with cylinder option, multiple option add together. Now I find it's very hard teaching accountants about the derivative security. They can dealing forward, dealing with the straight line things, but dealing with uncertainty, multiple scenario, contending claim, they have a hard time to really grab that. That's why finance major, you need to spend time on the derivative security, particularly its pricing formula. This is how more and more sophisticated pricing theory come out, because we're dealing with uncertainties. It's a good exercise for us mentally, at least, is how to looking at the market instrument to hedge the risk. I'm using this example show just to give a clear technology how to handle this risk. Those are easy to manage as long as you know how to using those contracts. I hope you spend some time on this chapter and also homework assignment. And let's pay attention to the basic, the transaction exposure, and using those tools to hedge the risk. And then, if you can, take a derivative and risk management. Pay attention to the pricing formula. How do we evaluate that particular option? How much you're willing to pay?